Okay, Shalom, first and foremost, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Our honors to our apostles and others. Great millstone, taught us its truth. All right, this video, well, first of all, this is the brother AHPARYAM from GMS Chicago, and we're learning this video will be edifying, really going into Jerusalem, looking at the scriptures about the city, because Jerusalem is a city, it's a physical city. That's going to be the focal point of the kingdom, of the new world to come. But it also represents the elect, right, with Yahawashi HaMashiach being that chief cornerstone, that foundation. All right, so I was really, bringing this up with ChatGPT, and it gave some good points. It summarized it very well. So the nation, really, what really sparked this off. I was on the bus going downtown on Lakeshore Drive, looking at as I was approaching the city, and it really reminded me of this Isaiah 2, because even Chicago looked very beautiful. It was quite beautiful this morning. Sun shining, springtime, approaching springtime, Passover. But yeah, the city of Chicago, man, it looked beautiful, and it made me think about this Isaiah 2 and 2, and 1. The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, meaning the throne of David, the government, the righteous government of Yahweh Shai, and his men is going to be ruling the earth. That's what the mountains represent, right? So the mountains represent rulership of governments. So it says Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. All right, and then it gets into it, the city. And verse 3, and many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the God of Jacob. He will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. Okay. So all the nations are going to flow unto Jerusalem. It's going to have that authority. See, this ChatGPT said it really well. Jerusalem becomes the center of the earth. Nations are drawn to it, not forced, because of its glory and authority. All right, so that's the opposite. All right, so the glory and the authority of New Jerusalem, man, in the kingdom. So the nations will flow unto it, all right, to seek the law, the word of Yahweh, the word of Yahweh BAHASHAM YAHWASHI, all right, which of course is not happening now, right? This is not going to happen until the kingdom is established and the true biblical Israelites are back in the land. Verse 4, and he shall judge among the nations, okay, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. All right, so from weapons to farming tools. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So peace on earth. Isaiah 2 and 5, O house of Jacob, come ye and let us walk in the light of Yahweh. All right, that's a beautiful precept, man. Lord willing, might get the Hebrew breakdown. Okay, but let's see what we got. I think that was pretty much it on that Isaiah 2. We go to Isaiah 60, see a glorified Zion. Isaiah 60 and 1. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of Yahweh is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth. Well, first of all, what's this light? His light is the Holy Spirit, man. It's wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, man. The Spirit of Yahawashi. Basically the truth. All right, that's our light. Okay, that's been returned to us in the last days in our captivity, so we can call upon Yahweh BAHASHAM Yahushai in truth and sincerity, to Lord willing that we can receive salvation. So that's that light that's come upon us, man. All right, and how much more when Jerusalem is established, right? Your YAHAWASHI, the teaching of peace. When your YAHAWASHI is established, there's not going to be no gross darkness on the earth. All right, there's not going to be sin on the earth. There's not going to be wickedness. Wickedness will have no root in the earth. All right, verse 2 says, "For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people," which is right now, which is what the Lord is tearing down. All right, the strongholds, the lies, the wine of Babylon. Okay, the lies. This man lied about everything. He lied about the cosmology, how the solar system is set up. He lied about the distances and the this and that, who the nations are, who, just everything, man. That's why it says gross darkness the people. We don't know, like, if Yahweh BAHASHAM Yahushai didn't open your mind up and give you knowledge, you would be in gross darkness, man. We don't know what's going on. If you were taught something your whole life from a child, that's programmed in you, man. You're gonna believe it, pretty much. All right, unless the Spirit rests upon you. That's why the scriptures talks about old bottles and conscience here with the hot iron. All right, so that's gross darkness to people. But again, that light was the truth, man. The gospel of Yahawashi HaMashiach. It says, "But Yahweh is upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee." All right, Lord willing, man, his glory, will be seen upon us. On the first go round, because this is the establishment of the kingdom of heaven on earth. And verse 3 says, "And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising." Okay, again, what did it say? That Jerusalem is the central point of the whole earth now. All right, so the nations are bringing the best of the best. They're flowing to Jerusalem, man. Flowing. All right, flowing. Imagine that, man. You're walking up to Jerusalem, you see it in the distance, because the scriptures even says, get this real quick. What did the Lord say? Right here. Matthew 5:14, "Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid." Right? So just imagine that city, man. And this is even manifold because it's also talking about the elect members right now, scattered throughout the earth. That's the city as well. All right, and that light that we're shining is this gospel, man. All right, so a city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. But back to this Isaiah. Wow. Isaiah 60:4. "Lift up thine eyes round about thee, and see, all they gather themselves together, they come to thee." All right. "Thy son shall come from far, and thy daughters shall be nursed at thy side." It says, "Then thou shalt see and flow together." Right. So everything just flowing to Jerusalem, man. Imagine what that's going to look like. That glorious city, man, perfectly builded. Imagine the vibration, the music, the animals, the birds, the earth. That abundance just flowing. Isaiah 60:5. "Then thou shalt see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged." Like, wow, this is an awesome thing, man, because that word awesome, you know, it means it inspires awe. From awe and some. What is awe? Fear, terror, great reverence. Okay, so YAHAWASHI is truly awesome. All right, fear, terror, great reverence for the Lord, the Most High God, and His Son, and His men. So thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because of the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. So the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto these seas, you know, representing the nations. All right, the forces of the Gentiles, meaning they're bringing the cream of the crop, the best of what they have to offer. And you know, YAHAWASHI created these nations too, man. They have certain skills and things that they specialize in. So this nation might specialize in producing this for us, the finest on earth, you know, so on and so forth. They're bringing the forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. Okay. I'm going to just jump to verse 11. Therefore thy gates shall be continually open. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish, yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Okay, the glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. You know, like Elder Uriah said last night, you got to let these precepts sink in. Because just think about how beautiful and perfect that's going to be. The trees of Lebanon, to beautify the place of the sanctuary, man. I will make the place of my feet glorious. Verse 4, also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet. And they shall call thee the city of Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Zion is a monument. All right, Zion in Hebrew, Tazayawan. 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 Wow, Sunny Mountain. Justinius. This means a monument. Okay. The blue letter wanted to do some extra stuff, but there it is, a monument. Tazayawan. Tazak. Oh, okay. So Tazayawan, I guess it even goes back to not Tazak, to excel, to be bright, preeminent, perpetual, overseer, right? The government, enduring. All right, so that's Yapa. Call on YAHAWASHI, that's perfect. All right. The monument is bright. You know, a city set on the hill cannot be hid. All right, let's see what this says. Okay, I think that was pretty much it on that. 2nd Ezra 7 and 6, there is also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field and is full of all good things. All right, so this is likened unto the kingdom right here. That city is builded. It also in 2nd Ezra 13. Let me see. Right here. 2nd Ezra 13 and 35. But he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion. And Zion shall come and shall be shewed to all men, being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands. All right, so New Jerusalem's going to come down out of heaven, and it's going to be builded. All right. And not only the physical city, but also its men. That's its structure, its order. All right. Again, from Yahawashi HaMashiach being that chief cornerstone on down. Fully structured, fully builded. All right, fitly compacted together. Let's get that real quick. And then we'll get, we can actually get this real quick. Psalms 122:3, Jerusalem is built as a city that is compact together. All right, so that perfect compact structure, right? And for the order of the men, of the elect. You see the elect right here from the apostles on down, the hopefully elect operating in order. See, fitly compacted together, well-oiled machine, you know, it's a body. Ephesians 2:19, now therefore ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and with the household of God, YAHAWAH, and are built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Yahawashi HaMashiach himself being the chief cornerstone. Okay. So that's the foundation, man. Just like a city. All right, the apostles, the prophets, Yahawashi HaMashiach, you know, the apostles and the prophets, the foundation. Verse 21, in whom all the building fitly framed together groweth unto an holy temple in the Lord, man. So that's the hopeful elect. All right, building fitly framed together, you know. Even sometimes the elder said, you know, just get in where you fit in. You know, a man's gift will make it room for him. And that's the hopeful elect. It's a building fitly framed together. All right, that's the church. That's the real church. All right. Verse 22, in whom ye also are builded together for an habitation of Yahawah through the Spirit. All right, so that's Ephesians 2, the end of the chapter, man. And that's raw. That's Yapa. Kahalam Yahawah. Revelation 21:1, the new heaven and earth. So this is talking, you know, the kingdom of heaven. John seeing the vision, Revelation 21. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. Okay. So new, meaning refreshed. Kainos. New, fresh, unused, unworn, unprecedented, novel, uncommon, unheard of a new kind. So the refreshed heaven and earth and the kingdom. Verse 2, and I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven. See, coming down from God out of heaven. All right, so the city's going to come down, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband, because the city is also the bride of the lamb, the lamb's wife, man. All right, spiritually, you know. So it says, see, a bride adorned for her husband, the city coming down, New Jerusalem. Verse 3, and I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he dwell with them. And they shall be his people, and the Most High himself shall be with them. And because we'll be, you know, having eternal life, then the Most High can dwell with us. So the tabernacle of God is with men on earth. All right, so that's going back to that glory and authority. Glory and authority. All right, the tabernacle of God is with men. God and Yahweh himself, Yahawah himself shall be with them and be their God. Okay, so this is the kingdom. Right, either. See, real quick, just to skim it, you know, verse 7. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. That would have been perfect, you know, for last night. That's heavy. Wow, God. Okay, so that's the elect, man. But you know, going down, let's see. because here is New Jerusalem, talks about it more. Verse 10. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and shewed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God. YAHAWASHI. Hold on, Salaki, let me pause with it. All right, Salaki, about that. Back to Revelation 21 and 10. And he carried me away into the spirit, into a great and high mountain, and shewed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from the Most High, having the glory of the Most High. And her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. All right, so, you know, may even ask ChatGPT to create a visual of this, you know. Verse 12, and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the 12 gates 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Okay, so it's telling us what the city looked like. 12, a high wall, 12 gates for the 12 tribes. All right, the sons of Jacob. All right, verse 13, on the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. So 3 gates on each side going around the city, because the city is basically the square, because it said that the length and the breadth of it were the same in verse 16. And then 3 gates on each side. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. 4 sides. It says, and the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Okay, so we see that the 12 are very high ranking in the elect, man, right under Yahawashi, because they even have their names on the foundations of the city. All right, so you know that's why when we break it down, it's Yahawashi, King David, which King David is one of the 12. Okay, Peter. All right, King David, and then under him, you know, the rest of the 12, and then it just branches out for the rest of the prophets in the 144,000, and then it just branches out to the rest of the elect, and then it branches out to the rest of the nation of Israel. All right, but you know, just to make the point, because this verse 14 shows you the importance of the 12, because the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb were actually written on the city. So verse 15, and he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gates thereof, and the wall thereof. And the city lieth 4 square, and the length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed, 12,000 furlongs. This length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. See that? So the length and the breadth of it are equal. But let me actually do this. 12,000 furlongs. 1,500 miles. Wow. Hold on, let me actually do this real quick. How long is Revelation? Okay, 12,000 furlongs in length, width, and height. Furlong equals about 1/8 of a mile, 0.125 miles. So 12,000 furlongs is 1,500 miles. That's roughly the distance from Chicago to Miami, or about half the width of the United States. So the city isn't just wide, it's described as a perfect cube. 1,500 mile length, 1,500 width, 1,500 height. Okay. Yeah, it's beautiful. All right, which makes sense. It says, verse 17, and he measured the wall thereof 144 cubits, according to the measure of the man, that is, of the angel. Okay. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. Okay. The building of the wall was like jasper, and the city was like pure gold. The city's gonna be pure gold, man. Like the streets are gonna be gold, man. Come on. Revelation 21:19. And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third a chalcedony, and the fourth an emerald. The fifth a sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprasus, the 11th a jacinth, the 12th amethyst. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of one pearl. And the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. Pure gold as transparent glass. That means, imagine you walking on that. And I saw no temple therein, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. So the whole thing is a temple. The whole city itself. All right. After the pattern, you know, Yahweh's pattern, man. So yeah, man, just very beautiful. I actually want to see if it can pull up a visual of each of these. Let's do this real quick. Can we pull up a visual of each of these stones and what they represent? You're basically looking at the blueprint of glory of the kingdom all at once. All right, jasper. It says earlier in Revelation, the Most High is described like jasper. That there's types of jasper, right? There's green ones. There's more brown ones. There's a precious stone. See that? Sapphire. Exodus describes the ground under his feet like sapphire. Okay, another precious stone. Chalcedony. That's Yapa too, man. Peace, calmness, spiritual stability. I might want to get one of these stones, man. I really like this one. Emerald. Life, growth. The rainbow around the throne is described as emerald, Revelation 4. Sardonyx. Sardius. Blood red. Judgment, sacrifice, authority. Chrysolite. Light, divine radiance. That one's Yapa too. Imagine the vibration of these stones. Beryl. Clarity, revelation, topaz, wisdom, divine order. Man, these are beautiful stones, man. Chrysoprasus, joy, restoration. Jacinth, fire, judgment, purification. See the balance? Amethyst, royalty, rulership, priesthood. All right, so that's pretty much it, man. Just really just touching upon the new city, Holy Jerusalem, all right, and the kingdom of heaven. So with that, we give all praises, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone once again, who will teach well, and YASHARAHLA, Shalom, Bye-bye.